All right, boys and girls, welcome back to Hole Watch number 2 as we go to Waco. Are you ready for the Waco Annual Charity Open? Disc Golf Pro Tour stop number 2 begins this weekend, actually on Thursday of this week. And so I want to take you down there, and I want to take you to hole number 5 on the Beast. Now, this entire tournament takes place at one course, the Beast, also known as Cameron Park East in Waco, nicknamed the Beast. This tournament has been around for several years. This course has been around for even longer. Matter of fact, I got to take place in the very first tournament that ever happened out there, a Texas 10 event back in, I think it was maybe '03 or so, where it was the longest round of my life. Because the tournament director said, I'm not turning anybody away. We want everybody to come celebrate this course. And so therefore we ended up with something like 220 people, 240 people on 2 courses. It was pretty ridiculous. But anyway, I have long memories, and I have long loved this course. Hole 5 out there will actually be the 17th hole that they play. They begin play at the tournament on hole number 7, finishing on 4, 5, 6, and 7, which are actually all par 4s. Which makes this a really interesting finish. I really like it when the close of a round, there are things that can happen, bad things that can happen to the players. And so with those par 4s that finish, 3 of those, if somebody gets really aggressive, they can eagle those. They can get a 2 on those par 4s. This hole, on the other hand, hole number 5, it's the most difficult hole on the course. It plays almost a half stroke over par. And when you look at it, when you break it down, it's 610 feet long. It's basically a backwards 7. So all you need to do is throw 305 feet to the corner. It's a big landing area. There's a big spot that it's good to be in. And then you throw another 305 feet downhill. The problem, as you're going to see, is that it's not as straightforward as that. There are many different routes you can take off of the box. Now here's the interesting part. Usually if a forehand guy is happy with the route and a hyzer guy is happy, you can throw a roller there. You can throw a turnover shot. Whatever your favorite shot is, you can likely throw it on this hole. But the interesting thing is that you don't feel good about any of them. Because of where the trees are positioned, because of the slope of the ground, because of the OB, and because if you land short of the landing area, you almost for surely take away a birdie opportunity. So you're going to see, we're going to take a look at several different routes that happened last year, and then what they get you, and why even when they get you to the spot that you want to be at, it's not always a great thing because you still have a really difficult shot. Add this to the fact that on your second shot, you've got an inlet coming off of the Brazos River, so you've got water left. You've got thick shoal OB on the right. You've got the river right behind. And once you get to the landing area, you are completely opened up to any sort of wind that's coming down the river. And so that usually leaves a massive crosswind on a downhill shot where you've got OB on both sides. So if you get it up too high, you're going OB on the right if you're a right-handed guy. If you swing it out too far to the left, just to make sure that you stay in bounds, what if you drop? Well, then you're OB on the left side in the water. So it becomes a very daunting upshot. So let's head back to the box and let's take a look at some of the different routes that our pros took last year. First up, this is the lefty hyzer line or the righty flick. And being that the lefty did it a lot better than all of the righties, I'm going to show him as an example. So this is Addison Collins, a local lefty there in Waco. And if a lefty is the guy that's peering the hole, you know the rest of us are in trouble. But basically he throws a controlled hyzer here, and he is landing on a pretty dangerous spot right here on the back slope. And you'll notice these 2 trees right here that he's looking at once he gets to his spot. Those 2 trees they kind of split the landing zone. They bifurcate the landing zone, to quote George Clooney in Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? You either want to be several feet in front of these trees or a couple of feet behind them. But if you notice, right behind these trees, that downslope starts and it goes right to the boat ramp. Matter of fact, in the final round, Greg Barsby threw a fantastic drive, a flick drive on this one, and I thought it was going to be a fantastic shot. And as a matter of fact, he threw it and he kind of, gave a little nod to the crowd, and he turned to walk away to go off the box, and he started to hear something, and he turned around and watched, and sure enough, he had rolled OB. So Addison is here in the perfect location. Now, that's how the lefty gets there. How do the rest of us get there if we don't have that lefty forehand or the accompanying flick to match that? Let's take a look at drive option number 2. This is Ricky in the first round. and he is throwing a roller. Now, this is basically, it's just a control roller. There's no distance he's trying to get here. Trying to get right over the top of these rocks and then cut out and burn out basically into the landing zone. And he lands in a good spot, but even as good as that roller was, he's a tiny bit short of where he would like to be. He's going to have to throw a flick over OB a lot of the way, flirting with that water. And because he's throwing from uphill to downhill, he's going to have an elevated shot, and that wind is going to be able to get under him. So it doesn't leave the perfect spot, but it's pretty good. Gives you a chance to attack for birdie from the drive. Now, the third option here, it's pretty much only the Simon option, although it could be there for a desperate righty too. So what Simon's going to do is he's going to take the giant hyzer, big high hyzer, and he's trying to basically get to the exact same spot that Ricky does, just going about it a different way. And as you'll see, this is super high, and it gets to the spot that Simon's trying to get to. So this is the landing area. Simon and Ricky are in the short side of the landing area. Addison is on the long side with a much better angle, especially as a lefty. He's going to have basically a flat shot. No hyzer necessary, although he probably will put a little bit of hyzer on there just to come into that slope a little bit and try to control his distance a little better. But this is what you're left with. You have to throw not a huge drive, but you have to throw a very accurate, say 300, anywhere between 300 and say 360. However, you can't throw in that gap that's like 345 to, I don't know, 355, or else you'll be right behind those trees and you're really going to have something that you're going to have to, a problem that you're going to have to solve that you're not looking for off of the box. So let's zoom down now and take a look at what do these sorts of shots get you, and also what is a good shot from here. We're not going to follow all of these first drives out because some of the second shots weren't that good. So we'll show what some of the good approach shots were, as well as what this green looks like and how you can have some pretty scary putts on a green that's pretty difficult to get to in the first place. All right, so let's join the German on his second shot. So this is after the big hyzer, and here's what it leaves him with. Because he didn't get far enough left or far enough down the fairway, he has to go with another giant hyzer, except this time he's taking it over OB for about 90% of the shot. Now, obviously, he's got the power to handle that. The problem is that he is heading towards out of bounds with his right-handed hyzer. Now, they were playing with a pretty strong left to right wind coming off of the river, and so he thought he could put that hyzer out there and it would hold it. But as you can see, it didn't quite. Okay, it didn't quite, and that's the problem with that shot, is that you are racing towards OB, because as you can see, it's quite a downslope from landing area to basket, which leaves a pretty difficult angle to try to come in on when you have to control your angle at the end, but you're forced to throw a certain angle at the beginning. It makes life pretty difficult. Now, the second one we'll look at is Barsby, and this is where his shot ended up after it rolled out of bounds on that fantastic flick. He brought it back inbounds, and as you can see, it leaves him a wide open shot. Relatively easy. However, if you were standing in the parking lot making bets with your friends about who can handle a 320-foot flick better, this isn't the place you're going to come. It's totally doable, but it's pretty daunting at the same time. He's flying over OB most of the way, and if you notice the wall there in the background around all of that tall grass and shul, that's out of bounds. So he throws a great shot, lands really good, but again, he's flying over OB and running towards OB. Now, that's the OB you would rather go into, because you're landing in grass, you're landing on a flat spot. Simon's OB was going down a hill towards water, and so even if he sticks, he's got an uphill putt. If Greg sticks, he's got a flat putt now towards water, but he's got a little bit of space behind it. So a better angle definitely on your putt if you're coming left to right as opposed to right to left. Now, the third one we're going to look at, and this is Ricky's. So this is what Ricky's unencumbered flick, his roller, his unencumbered roller. This is what he threw and about where he expected to be. But as you can see, he still has to bend it quite a bit left to right around this corner because he didn't get past those trees that we talked about on Addison's drive. Because Ricky didn't get past those, he's now short of them with a bad angle. And as much swoop as he puts on this, and he goes sprinting out to take a look to see how it ended up, he still ended up left of the basket. He did not get far enough right, which tells you what sort of angle he's dealing with there. And he hit the backside of the green and bounced OB long. So again, he's coming into that upslope, and you can sometimes get some funny things happening there. Now, we'll take you to the cherry spot. This is Eagle. He's throwing from about where Addison landed, but I want to show you what a right-handed guy does here, because we already saw with Barsby's flick kind of what the left-handed guy would do in this spot. Now, this is Eagle. He tried a roller off of the box and went OB, and this is his second shot. If your drive doesn't get to at least where Ricky's is, this is about all you can do is lay up to this spot. But as we said with Barsby's upshot, this isn't exactly what you choose to try to get up and down for your birdie. So Eagle is standing here needing to get up and down for his bogey because of his OB drive. And as you can tell, because he's past those trees, he was able to throw a flat backhanded shot. But even still, he's going downhill into a headwind, and he still leaves it outside of circle 1. So needless to say, even with some good drives, it's not a gimme 3 at all. This is one of those really great, I think a true par 4. If you want a birdie here, you need more than just one good shot. We've all played some of those holes, and actually the 3 holes or the 2 holes before this one on the course and the one after this one, if you have one really good shot and then just one average shot, you can get the birdie. Not so on this one. You need 2 fantastic shots. So now, let's head down to the green, and I'll show you the very last part of this hole that can cause some problem. Okay, so now let's head down to the green, and I'll show you kind of the 2 problems with this green, which affects what you're thinking on your upshot 300 feet ago. So first, let's take a look at Simon. So he's gone OB left, going over the basket, and here's what that leaves him. Just because you went into the water right there at the edge of the green doesn't mean that it's a gimme putt. He's just outside the circle, putting uphill, and generally, there's going to be a lot of tailwind on this putt. I don't know if you've ever tried to go with a tailwind uphill putt, but it feels like you just cannot aim high enough. Simon does bang this putt, so good on him, but that's not exactly what you want to try to save your 4 if that was indeed your second shot that went in. So what people end up doing is they err on the opposite side. They make sure to put their flick too far to the right, or they turn their shot too far over, or they're just playing to the fat area of the green, but here's what that leaves you. Here's Ricky just outside the circle, and he's got a death putt basically. So if you want to save your par from this side, you've got to really go for it. And it just leaves you in a tough spot on this green. There's really no easy putts if you're outside the circle. One way or another, you're going to have a hard time getting a par on this hole. So that's why I wanted to take a look at this hole, because I think there are going to be some amazing swings that can happen right here. Any of these guys could get a 3 if they play it fantastic, and it would be super easy if any of them got a 5. So you're going to see some definite swings on this hole. Now, I want to show you one other thing on this hole before we take off. Ricky, during the final round, was at the point with 2 holes to go where he's thinking, I need to go eagle, eagle in order to win. Here's the problem. Here's the problem. This is one of the holes that he was trying to eagle on. So let's take a look at what he tried to do. He attempts to go almost sky roller, but with a disc that's going to pan out. He's going over the top, the same angle that Simon took, or the same initial opening that Simon took, but he's throwing it on an ante line, and he's trying to get it to flex out and come back in so that he can have a putt for the 2. Now, this shot, as good as it looked coming out of his hand, as crazy as it looked coming out of his hand, it did not make it in bounds. Now, apparently, it was only about a meter short, according to what Germ said, but he never crossed inbounds up there. So he basically moved up about 100 feet, and he was left with this shot. So right up against the trees now, instead of just thinking, okay, well, I'll pitch to the middle like eagle, and I'll try to get up and down for my 5, Ricky goes sky roller from this spot right here. Sky roller. And remember that putt I showed you just a couple of seconds ago? That was Ricky's putt to save a 4 that he banked. So that spot he ended up, that spot he was putting from, is where this roller shot ended up. Ricky saved a 4 after basically only getting about 100 feet off of his drive. 100 feet plus a circle, and he still saved a 4. If I would have remembered this shot at the end of the year, I probably would have given this the Boxy for the best shot of the year, but I totally forgot about it, which is why now when I watch a tournament, I'm writing down what I think is a good shot, because I totally forgot about this one. So I just want everybody to revel in what Ricky did right here, because you will never see anybody get a 4 in that way on this hole again. That's it for Whole Watch this week. Thank you very much for tuning in, and in just a couple of days, tune in to the live coverage brought to you by Smashbox and the Disc Golf Pro Tour. Let's get ready for some live golf. Thanks for joining in to Whole Watch. This next episode of On the Box with Dixon Jowers will be coming out tomorrow, so look for episode 33 coming out, well, maybe on Wednesday, either Tuesday or Wednesday. I might have an interview that I'm going to do on Tuesday night that'll get thrown into the mix if I can get it. So look for, definitely before the start of the tournament, our next episode will be out. So thanks for joining in. Make sure to share with your friends, and I'll see you before the Jonesboro tournament with the next Whole Watch.